We have completed phase 1 of our transport initiatives using a bespoke model to shortlist options with the potential to improve traffic flow and safety around Leatherhead.
Back in 2018, we appointed some traffic consultants, WSP, to look at a number of different options that needed to be considered in relation to the gyratory, pedestrian and cycle connections within the town centre. You'll no doubt remember that the brief was to look at how to reduce the barrier effect, improve highway safety, look at how the gyratory could be managed to try to make sure that it's just being used by local traffic, improve pedestrian and cyclist sort of connections, and then also look at how all of that impacted on the changes to the Transform Leatherhead. So perhaps, Coralie, could you explain where we've got to in that process?
Yes, yeah. The work you just described was phase 1 of a two-phase piece of work. So the work carried out in phase 1 shortlisted a series of options using a bespoke model to understand the options available to us and forecast traffic increases right through to 2033. In spring this year, we're going to undertake that second piece of work, and we're going to develop the options from phase 1, which is going to evaluate the technical feasibility work and the anticipated benefits of each of those shortlisted options. This is going to clarify 2 alternative options for Bull Hill, potentially a new link road alongside the railway embankment, and the closing of the existing Bull Hill, or the existing Bull Hill reverting to a two-way traffic system compared to the one-way it currently is. The phase is going to factor in improvements to pedestrian and cycle routes as well, and connectivity and comfort levels. The quality of the public realm generally and highway safety is always going to be a paramount, as well as the congestion work that we're trying to alleviate.
Yeah. Is it worth just flagging that when we looked at town centre congestion, what was really clear was that people were using town centre as a cut through to avoid the congestion on the bypass. So part of the work involved looking at how we could reduce the number of people using town centre as a rat run, and we need to try and find ways of pushing traffic back out to the bypass because that's what it's been designed for.
And that's a piece of work that we're undertaking in conjunction with Surrey County Council, and the 2 pieces of work very much need to sit along each side each other. Yeah.
So there were lots of detailed questions at the TL in Conversation events about the shortlisted traffic options and how they might work. So to give you a couple of examples, what about traffic emerging from the station car park and from Oak Close? How will they be able to safely access Randalls Road was one such question, ranging from traffic around Randalls Road, Bull Hill, Station Road, Station Approach works. How will taking out Bull Hill help, and how much will it cost?
I think it's really important to highlight at this stage that the options that we arrived at through phase 1 were generated from the computer simulation model. Those options are going to be used to inform the phase 2 piece of work and select the best options in terms of traffic, pedestrians, cyclists and safety, and all those areas are going to be key considerations for Surrey County Council as the highway authority about how we progress.
I think it's also worth just touching on the fact that quite a lot of questions were asked about Network Rail and the bridges, which are natural pinch points in the town centre. And I think they've said at this time they're not planning to do any works to those bridges, which otherwise might have provided an opportunity to sort of widen the highway at that point, but we will keep following that up with them to see if anything changes.
And I think as we go through the phase 2 piece of work, potentially more information will come forward as we do more detailed research, which will help evaluate those options to get the best outcomes. Yeah.
So we will be working very closely with Surrey County Council to look at funding opportunities. The A24 is designated as a major transport network, and so that does mean that we can try to access funding from the Department of Transport. And also Junction 9, we're in discussions with Highways England over changes to that. And I think I can add something here in terms of Mole Valley's priorities, in that we have allocated funds this year for infrastructure feasibility studies, so that we've got the work ready, and when there are funding opportunities we will be able to apply for grants to help with that. Emma, can you expand on the sort of the lower level funding issues?
So in in connection with each site, as part of developing any sort of planning application, either More Valley as the applicant or our development partner would need to look at sort of the traffic impacts and how to design the sites to take account of sort of the impact on the highways network. So looking at Bull Hill, for example, which, you know, subject to the outcome of the local plan, could be taking a significant amount of development. The partner there would be required to come up with solutions to mitigating the impact of the development on the highways network, and we'd look to them to fund that.
I think that's where we have the options at the moment about maybe making it two-way where it's one way, or closing it off, and until we know what the outcomes of those development proposals are, we can't actually reach any firm conclusions. Yeah.
So off the back of the development at the QEF site on Randalls Road, Surrey County Council are required to put in place a new passenger bus service, and we're working with Surrey to explore different delivery models for that service, which we hope will make best use of the available funds while still delivering a good service for those new residents and other users of that campus site. Some people who are more familiar with Transform Leatherhead might remember the sustainable transport package that was developed sort of very early on, again in partnership with Surrey County Council, and that included a new off-road cycle path along Randalls Road, the idea being to better connect the business park with the town centre by way of the railway station. But at that time the proposals didn't meet the requirements in terms of cost-benefit ratios required by coastal capitals, so they weren't able to be taken forward. But we were really clear, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. We need to look again at finding alternative ways of making that happen.
And I suppose this again feeds into the Mole Valley District Council climate emergency declaration, trying to make sure that everything that we do in terms of development across the district is very much focused on sustainable locations, encouraging people to use public transport, minimise the use of car, and other sort of initiatives such as the carpool, car sharing and things like that.
And walking and cycling too.
And walking and cycling too, we mustn't forget those.
Yeah. And this is where we potentially will bring some of those conversations with the likes of Network Rail and the bus operators to the forefront of some of the plans that we're doing, to see where we can work with the partners to deliver the best outcomes.